Well, hey friends, my name's Andrea. This is Jank Journal. This is Journals for Breakfast, and you are so welcome here. I've had quite a week. um, if you are new to this channel, you have found us in the midst of a summer camp that I wrote for myself. That video I'll link below. There's been 2 subsequent videos following up how the summer camp's going. The summer camp was my attempt to step away from my chronic should and to-do lists. I keep constant to-do lists, constant shoulds rolling around in my head. You know, got to do this laundry, got to do that laundry, got to clean up the yard, got to sweep the front porch, got to clean the fridge out. Like, it's just constant, right? I devote so much energy to chores and to-dos. I lose a lot of energy to shoulds, the big projects that always just, paint the kitchen cabinets. They're always lingering there. And I said, enough. What if I put that same energy towards wants, things that I actually want to do? I have a craft room full of supplies because I want to do these things, and then they sit because instead I get lost in my shoulds and not my wants. So that was the premise of this summer camp. Sit down with my to-do list brain, my organized brain, my get a task accomplished brain, but put it towards stuff that I really want to do. I want to enjoy. So the first 2 weeks of my summer camp were sewing, and the next 2 weeks were devoted to paper jam. So that was last week and then this week coming up. And I was really excited about paper jam because I'm a journaler and I do a lot of collage and I make my own journal pages, and I just love the craft of being with paper. So I wanted to do the sewing weeks first to kind of get them out of the way. It's not my natural space. And then throw 2 weeks of journaling behind that to just like give myself a little reward. Okay, what I have tried to do is create a journal from a reclaimed book. So I don't even have one over here. So you find an old book at an antique shop, excuse me, or a junk shop, or one sitting out in your garage. You take portions of it out because you're going to make your own cool fold-in pages and pocket pages and things like this to stick in its place. And this little book will now become your new favorite junk journal. I have been referring to mine as a jank journal all week because it is so janky. And y'all, I just have to tell you that I thought I was going to be really good at this. And it turns out that I'm not very good at this. And so we're going to go through some overhead of just kind of some of the days and some of the stages. I do have a book that is underway. He still has work. Um, this thing, just seeing it, I'm going to link below the videos that made me think that I could do this. Sorry. When you see this gal, there's 2 of them, okay, that make these journals that are so beautiful, and they're just so professional and so clean. And I like watched these videos for literally months. One of the channels was just like, yeah, I am like imprinting this info. I have totally got this. And it has just been well, it's been interesting. I'm gonna do an overhead and share a little story with you. But have you ever made a cake? Like, you watched a lot of baking shows and you were like, yeah, I can make a cake. Remember, I am a professional chef. I ran a cooking school for 25 years, but I know this experience. And so you just get a wild hair and you bake this cake and it's cooling and you make icing and the cake is just getting jankier and jankier, like it's sliding, right? And you're like, it's fine, it's fine. I can, if I saw off this top here, it'll level that out and I can put more icing. And before you know it, you have like 8 pounds of icing and this little bit of cake left in here. And it is just a monster. Yeah, it's kind of like that for me. That's kind of what's happened here. And I have to laugh because when I think about the videos that made this so tempting to me, they're so pristine and clean. And the one that I watch is British. And so this is like British farmhouse and inserting this double pocket page for thoughts and ideas. And I have just got this dollar store Mod Podge monster in front of me. Welcome. I'm really happy you're here. Let's take a look at what I did in Paper Jam this week. So making this book this week, a story's been running through my mind, and it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. When I think about Frankenstein, I think about, the Dr. Frankenstein. He had a plan. He had a vision. He had an idea. And I think that his idea was that he was going to create this reanimation of life, immortality in a way, and build himself this dapper gentleman. Like I can see him thinking what he would look like, kind of, maybe a jacket and slacks and probably a cane. I mean, he's grave robbing, so the legs may not match a cane, but cane can look, debonair also. A hat's a good idea. He's going to be stitching his head back on, so yeah, a hat, cover up a few little scars, but basically he's looking at a guy that's going to be pretty fit, pretty in tune with the times, maybe a companion. And I feel like as he goes, things start not working the way that he thought they would. Maybe like, those big jagged stitches on Frankenstein's monster in the cartoons. Yeah, like I don't think he started there. I think he starts with little fine hidden surgical sutures, but then they don't take, like the corpse skin is too thick or something, and it won't connect. So he has to go with something a little bit thicker. And by the end, he's basically stitching them up with rope. Yeah. And so, it's not the best look, but again, we're going to put a hat on him. We're going to put a coat on him. It'll be all right. I feel like over time, the project just gets out of his hands, and he's really not skilled to do it. He's just had a vision, is all he's had. And kind of before he knows it, this thing has emerged in front of him. And, if you've ever watched a Frankenstein adaptation, and I highly recommend the most recent one. It is fantastic, in my humble opinion. You end up having this tenderness for the monster in the end, to be honest with you. You really do. You fall for him. There's a kindness about him. And yeah, I think that's kind of what's happened with me in this book. In the end, I'm starting to be kind of enamored by her. I like it. So maybe a monster. The sutures are a little too big. The jacket doesn't fit. It turns out it was 7 feet tall, so his arms break through the sleeves. But in the end, really is a gentle giant, and I do have a lot of kind feeling towards it. So we'll see how I use it. We'll see how it goes. I hope that I get better at this in time, but for the moment, this little monster, such as it is, has endeared itself to me eventually. And yeah, a lot of stitches, a lot of work, but we got there in the end. Okay, so let's go through this together and see what we think. This is a book that I bought years ago in North Carolina. I still remember when I bought the book. This was the book, and it was Foreign Birds for Cage and Aviary. And when I saw the book, it's at a super used bookstore. It was like $1 or $2, and I thought it would be good for collage because it had this cool cover on it, which I could take apart and use in collage, and I do intend to do that. And it had this pretty blue behind it. The book itself was blue, and it had this kind of gold writing on it. So I was like, yeah, that's a great, for $2, I'll come up with something to do with that book down the road. I had no idea this would be what I would do with it. And so I watched videos. As I said, I've linked below the Spirit of Nature. I'm going to link one video of hers because that will send you on a journey with her if you're interested in carrying on with this. And I did actually sign up for her paid versions as well and have gone through those. I won't stay paid with her. You pay monthly. And so I'm just using them for now, but I'll probably move on. But I took all these pages out of this book and I held on to the ones, because they're kind of cool writing. But some of these that are torn now, it's because it had an image of a bird, which now has ended up here, right? So took a bunch of pages out following her instructions and still did it wrong. That's okay. You'll do better. And yeah, just started with some of my favorite paper. I felt like that was the easy answer, right? So that's what you saw in that overhead with the blue cover. You know, I had it laid out, glue over here. This was already glued down, and then I got this going. And I didn't really theme out paper per se, but I just selected some of my faves and got going. This is from a paper book that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. You can get them at Michael's. You know, these things come and go. Who knows how long I've had this particular collection. So I'm not saying that this is available there now, but you can find paper books. So I just selected pages and trimmed them down. And I started building a few pockets right away. I'll show you one of those. The first thing that I did, actually, here's one, was cut the paper down, glued two sides together on three sides, used, I actually didn't have a hole punch for this. I hadn't picked one up yet. So I just put a roll of washi tape down, you know, at the halfway point and drew a line and then used an X-Acto blade to cut the little notch out and glued it together and made a little pocket. This was the very first thing that I did, was make these little pockets. And they came out pretty well. I was pretty excited. Life was good, going strong, you know. So I did a few of those, and then also just cut some pieces out that I could use. And the first thing I did was the cover, which was kind of bold of me, to be honest with you, because since I have no idea what I'm doing, and this is the part that I'm going to be looking at every time I see this book, that was a pretty bold move, but it's okay. I did paper, washi, then put on a couple of tear outs from the book itself. Inside, this binding was torn to pieces. I did not do a very good job here, and you could see all the way down to the back spine of this book. And so I filled it in with this adhesive, professional quality, remains flexible, dries clear, ideal for book binding and paper projects. Okay, so I did make attempts at purchasing products that would work well for this. Holy cow, this glue was it works well, it dries clear, it is flexible. It takes 24 hours to dry. So issue number one was I had no idea how long it was going to take for the stages of this to come together. I honestly thought I'd be putting this book together in 2 days. I'm on day 6, and it's still not done. A lot of time spent waiting for glue to dry, which I didn't anticipate. And I had to glue these 2 pages together because of the tearing here. And then I just reinforced this page with some more of this paper. Did this little cute kind of rose gold, you know, it's a pen, stick it in and it butterflies out the back. And put a couple pieces of paper in for journaling. Good for me. This is a good example of the monster that just never ceases with me. Every time I open this book, more tape is peeling away and I have to go in with more Mod Podge and fix it up, patch it up. So I'll work on that. I made pocket pages just like that one I just showed you, the cardstock. You know, I made this separately and then tried to sort of do a tip-in, if you know about tip-ins from journaling, which with marginal success. I ended up having to reglue this 4 or 5 times too, but we got there in the end. And now I have a pocket to put little notes to myself in. One of them might be, don't make junk journals anymore, Andrea. I don't know. Then I decided to just do a little collage page because my brain was fried and I felt like I needed to do something I know how to do. That's what happened over here too. I will share with you that if you put Mod Podge over glitter tape, it does dry clear enough that the glitter sparkles again, FYI. I have taped this in 27 times. That's the number I'm going to give you. Finally, I ended up having to put actual tape, which you can see there. Let's see. There you go. Actual tape over it, just to hold it in. No matter what I did, I could not get this to stick in. That's life. We're learning. Made a pocket out of gluing 2 pages from the book together. Excuse me. So this is an actual page from the book. This is a page from the book. And I just glued those together. So there was nothing to actually tip in here, right? But this tape is here because this binding got really chewed up in my tearing things out process. And so again, it's also why all this washi and stuff is over here. I'm just reinforcing that binding that I messed up in taking my pages out. So yeah, there's that. I put some watercolor on this page. I'll do more of that through this book, but that's as far as I got with that. I made this little piece, and another one of those pins went in, punched it through. See how it butterflies on this side? So it spins and moves. And I like the overhang of this a little bit. I tore a little bit of it off, but I left some of that there. So some of that's page from the book. Some of this is just cardstock, washi. Another tip in of a pocket that was made of paper that's not from the book. Another just monstrosity of a glue in of washi tape. And I Mod Podged this whole page. I think because I accidentally glued this page to this. Louise, and it tore it, and so then I had to Mod Podge it to kind of cover it up, and I Mod Podged this too to make them sort of both shiny. Can you see that? But all hail Mod Podge, because it has saved my tail 1,000 times this week. That's all I can tell you. But I like it. Gave this paper kind of this leathery feel to it, so I probably will do that on more pages going through. This one, the binding is torn, so I finally went and got double stick tape. It's just been all about glue and tape for an entire week. That's all it's been about. This. It's just all glue and all tape all the time. The double stick tape seems to be pretty adhesive. It's working well. So I've put a strip down. I'll peel that off, and I'm going to put some cardstock paper into that crease to sort of support that. And then I'll probably do collage on this blank page, and I will probably watercolor this page. The back of this page, I put a little bit of toile tissue paper on, and then this. Oh, sorry. If you watch the video from Spirit of Nature, and I also want to mention another channel. I may have mentioned her by the time y'all get to this point in the video anyway, but Junk Journal Treasures with Joanna is fantastic resource for supplies, for techniques. I'm going to link her supply video just because that's a great place to start, but I hope you'll binge and watch some of her stuff too. But anyway, they make these cool inserts that are like cardstock, and I see them like getting this heavy duty paper and then folding it and creating these creases. And I was like, yeah, that seems super fun. I'll make one of those. I have no idea what I thought I was going to do with it. What is this doing? I have no idea. And then it became a spine just nightmare also. The number of products that are in this right now, I can't count for you. We know there's at least 4 because they're all in front of me, but there may be more. I don't know what. I might have done a sage burning. It's possible that a shaman helped me cleanse the energy here. I don't know. This thing was a monster. I Mod Podged this crunchy page over here. And then yesterday, I just took this envelope and put a photo of my absolutely disastrous desk. Here, let's get that in. A photo of my just monstrous desk. A cool sticker that came to me from my friend Paula in a birthday package. And I don't know. There's that weird thing. So there's that. On the next page, grungy. I just did some of my classic collage. Like, this is where I'm home. This is what I do. I set up journaling pages for myself. So I put places where I can write some affirmations or some positive words or some thoughts. I might just write jank on this one. I don't know. This was a pocket envelope that you can buy a set of. I glued it, I painted it, and then I put this little insert in it by just folding over a piece of paper, and I put a pretty little hologram sticker in it, and I can write myself janky notes here. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. So yeah, this was really just to like settle my soul and say, Andrea, there are things you can do in this world, and this is one of them. I think like if you had that cake decorating experience with me, and what you really know how to make is chili, like you would make a big pot of chili next and just settle your soul. I'm going to start some collage here, but this stuff, these graph paper pages, I actually took a graph paper notebook. I actually happen to have it here. How rare and prepared of me. I took the pages and folded them, right? And then I put holes, punch, 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 punch. And then I got embroidery floss and sewed a binding onto it. There's that. And then I glued it into and onto. So first glued the spine down into the spine of this, and then I glued the back page to a page in the book to just give it some stability. And so I made a little graph paper. Can you tell that's graph paper? Yeah, you can there. Graph paper notebook that I can write in or collage in. The pages are sticking together because I've got Mod Podge on everything. Yeah, so that's in there. That's not terrible. Again, the spine was just exposed, so I just put some washi in and a little washi around here. This looks rough because I have learned that, one, I like kind of antiquing it with a little super fine grained sandpaper, but also I will tell you that in getting things to stick, if I put a little sandpaper down and then put some tape and then put something, it'll grab better. These pages have some kind of, I guess, coating on them. But also if you're trying to get washi to stick to washi, you've got to sand it down a little bit because washi has a waxy coating on it and things won't stick. Little collage page I started here yesterday morning. I will probably do more with that. I probably won't do anything with this page. I think it's pretty. And then I've got these pages blocked out because I think what I'm going to do here is watercolor and then do another pocket out of these two. It's a pretty plate that was already in there. And then the back cover needs a lot of love and it will get it. This is not a completed back cover. It's just what I wanted to start with, and I'll get some collage work going there. I feel like I might be putting some words in here somewhere too, maybe words of encouragement. I don't know. And then there's the back. But I will tell you a funny thing about this book is, as completely whack as it is, and it is, it's grown on me. You know, there's an endearment, very much like the Frankenstein in the most recent movie. You end up with this funny crush on this like beat up, reconstructed corpse. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I have started to have an endearment to this thing. And so I'll be really curious to see. I still have work to do. How much I'm going to do this week, I don't know. If I get my strength back up emotionally to dive back in, what I really need to do is rewatch those videos myself. And I'm half scared to because, gosh dang, her stuff is so good. But whatever. That is where I got with Paper Jams so far. And this is just a little update on my camp journal / notebook. You can see from the cover, if you've been with me, I've got a few new badges in there. I sure earned them this week. I think if nothing else, I earned badges just for stick-to-itiveness. Just fighting through. I told my friend Dag that I learned something in watercolor classes one time that was, oh, that's my Hobonichi. That doesn't have anything to do with this. That was that all watercolor paintings seem to hit an ugly stage at some point. And one of the most powerful things you can do is learn how to push through the ugly. I felt like I had to do that a lot this week with my little junk journal. So gave myself some badges. I'm putting in some scraps in my journal here to kind of remind myself of this first project, the products that I used and the style, etc. So I think that'll be fun to look at down the road. And I just made some notes day to day of kind of what I did, what I tackled, what was unexpected. And yeah, so the summer camp journal is coming along too, and it is really fun to work into. I think it's a fun part of this whole concept and project, along with everything else. So yeah, there's that. Let's do some face-to-face. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my janky journal update and my Frankenstein theories. I want to mention real quick, sorry, I'm putting my mic over here. I want to mention real quickly that the new iteration of Frankenstein, the most recent film, is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, it is so good. And all I can tell you is get ready, because you're going to walk out of there with a crush on a 7-foot tall mumbling corpse. That's a fact. That actor is unbelievable, but it's a great movie. In fact, I think I'm going to go watch it this afternoon. Okay. The other thing I want to mention is a few people asked me about products. So here's the thing. I got the badges. I've responded to a few of you guys. I got the badges at Hobby Lobby. I never list links to products that come from the big manufacturers like Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Amazon, Walmart. When I take the time to put a link in my description, it is always to a small maker. So if you go back through my old videos, if you're watching something and there's a handmade leather cover or some really cool stickers, those came from Etsy makers, and I do link them in those videos. I will tell you that my sweet friend Mitzi at Paper Girly Studios, I am going to link her video below too. She's great. She's a great resource. She is a YouTuber, y'all. Like, I mean, she puts out so much valuable content. She's got a Facebook group that does lives every single week. She is just, this is really her world. And she is working collaborations with several makers. She has an Amazon store. So yeah, if you want to support a maker in this kind of space who will get a kickback from some of those larger stores, I highly recommend you spend some time with Mitzi at Paper Girly Studios. I just am not committed to commercializing this space right now or monetizing this space right now. And I just don't do links to the big boxes. That's all there is to it. It isn't a judgment call in any way. It's a lot of work to put links in. And I just feel like the makers on this space that are doing that, like Mitzi, let's support them. I don't need to throw my hat into that ring. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that the camp video has gotten so many comments, and then the two subsequent follow-up videos. And thank you. I read every single comment that's comes through. I know you may not believe that. It is the absolute truth. I've responded to lots of them, maybe all, certainly more than half. And I can't list everybody who has given me a comment that has lifted my spirits or made my day. It's all of you. But I want to share one from Whitney. And I asked Whitney if it was okay if I shared this, and she said that it is. So, and also just go read the comments. If you're looking for some kickback and some uplifting info from the other viewers in this space, I hope you'll read through the comments. I love reading the comments in my favorite YouTube channels spaces and hear what people are saying. So Whitney says, your summer camp idea inspired me to create my own camp. I've heard this from so many people and it makes me so happy. And she has created a camp called Hammock Haven. And Camp Hammock Haven has a manifesto, which she shared a few lines with from me. And I'm wearing the wrong glasses. Do y'all do that? How many glasses do we need? Okay, Camp Hammock Haven, here's the manifesto. At Camp Hammock Haven, we practice being human again. We trade urgency for rhythm. We trade noise for noticing. We trade productivity for presence, at least for a little while each day. And this is your safe harbor. I love it. I love it. Even just for a few minutes each day. When I talk about intentional living, I know it's easy to think that I'm talking about 2-week retreats or quitting careers or walking away from the modern life, going off grid. What do I mean by intention? Honestly, little pops, a few moments without your phone, one walk in the neighborhood just without any technology with you, no earbuds, no phone. That's a little moment of intention. I love that Whitney is embracing that. Trading productivity for presence, at least for a little while each day, just little pops. What a difference that can make and get us to those intentional living goals that we all know that we need. This world is distracting and we're going to have to do it for ourselves. We're going to have to rein it in. I will tell you that much like you will have a crush on Frankenstein's monster in the new movie, I'm starting to get a crush on this wacky book. And I want to know if you're going to try such a thing. Check out Joanna, Junk Journal Treasures. Check out Caroline at Spirit of Nature. And let me know in the comments how you do with your own journal making. I will be back. Usually I'm here about every 2 weeks. So I got another week of Paper Jam, and then I have an open week, and one of my viewers is doing a writing week, and I think I may join her for that and turn one of those open weeks into all writing. So I will check back with you. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love that you're inspired by this. I am too. We're having a fun summer, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Have a great day.